Welcome back, everybody, to the show. Excuse me. Wow. Right as we're beginning this, I hope you're doing absolutely wonderful. Apologies. We're just kind of doing the show today whenever we could. I'm going to explain to you the night that we had here in Nashville. I did this debate with Michael Knowles, a bar full of Trump supporters, and Congressman Dan Crenshaw. And so it was like 1v50. It was awesome, and it went very well. But the series of events, belligerent guy that security had to block out in the back entrance who was trying to confront Dan, but then couldn't go out of that exit, and then we after that walk up on like a developing assault, man against a woman, and we have to intervene. Crazy night, the event itself and the aftermath of it, and now there's just so much I have to update you on. But despite this not being when we normally do the show, I wanted to still jump on and do a show before we fly back to our home studio, which will feel nice, and get out of this little makeshift situation in Nashville, and then tomorrow we'll be back on our normal schedule. So the next segment is where I'll update you on everything that happened in the debate and the events that followed. But let's start with the breaking news that many of you are coming for, which is this. There have been reports for a while that Trump was considering firing Kristi Noem, the DHS secretary. She's been a disaster. Now, he won't admit that, but obviously he's admitting it to himself because he's firing her. Not reportedly, he announced it already. And what I'm going to get to, you might have heard that news already, is the actual video that Trump reportedly saw that pushed him over the edge and made him go, I'm replacing her. Now, who is he replacing her with? Stick around after this, okay? Because it's crazy.
Breaking news. We'll see you soon, David. Thank you so much. John.
We do indeed have some breaking news, and this comes a day after a difficult couple of days on Capitol Hill in both the House and the Senate for Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary. She is being replaced. Senator Markwayne Mullin is now...
Oh, no, he spoiled it! Okay, hold. We're going to have a little Markwayne Mullin fest. It's going to be fun, but... this is just the news, and I'll show you the video that ticked Trump off.
Going to take over her job. The president making the announcement on Truth Social just a short time ago. He writes, quote, I am pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, Markwayne Mullin, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security effective March 31st of this
when they use your yearbook photo, your high school yearbook photo. Why don't they have updated photos of Trump or Kristi Noem to use?
Month of this year. The current Secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well and has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, will be moving to be special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, which is a new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere that they're announcing on Saturday at Doral in Florida. The president says, I thank Kristi for her service at Homeland.
So it's so bad for Kristi. At least whenever you had Mike Waltz, and I'm even forgetting who he was, Mike Waltz, I think. Whenever you had him get removed from his position, they gave him a real position, like ambassador to the UN, I think. You come to me for information. I'm blanking on all of it right now. Whatever the heck Waltz is doing now, the signal chat guy. And at least in his case, he got like a real position. There was a real thing that was already a position. In Kristi Noem's case, they are making stuff up. They're just making positions up now so that it doesn't feel like she's being ousted. We're just transferring her over to the Shield of the Americas office, which is not a thing, but they just created it. Good job, Kristi. Pretty humiliating tenure, disastrous tenure. But before we get to who's going to be the next DHS secretary, if he's confirmed, you got the video that Trump reportedly saw of Republican Senator John Kennedy going back and forth with Kristi Noem over her using $200+ million of taxpayer funds to run ads where she's like right in the center of them, riding a horse and marching around in a bulletproof vest. And it feels like more of a commercial for her than for what DHS is doing, or for you should self-deport, whatever. It just feels like she's advertising herself. And if there's one thing you should know if you work for Trump, it's that he loves offices being exploited for money. He loves leveraging the government for his own interests. But it has to just be him. You can't see him enriching himself by his rule book and go, oh, so I'll enrich myself too. Or I'll use my office to boost my name recognition too. No. Only he gets to do it. Otherwise, he'll be mad at you and fire you. Look at this.
The president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly,
Did the president
worked
know
with
you were going to do
OMB.
this?
Yes.
He did?
Yes.
Okay.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
Well, they were
overwhelmingly
effective in your name recognition. I mean, I personally just, I mean, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot. And I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe. No?
So the reports I saw were that Trump saw this and was furious because what is Kristi Noem doing? She's using the position he gave her to boost her own name recognition. Probably she thinks she's setting herself up for a presidential run. And Trump's narcissism requires that the entire apparatus of staff that he has, underlings, and appointed positions have to all be in service of his enrichment and his interests. You don't get to do it for yourself, even if you see him doing it. And so this is, again, supposedly what pushed him over the edge. The video that caused her career to end at DHS, and now she'll get to bravely be a part of the Shield of the Americas office. Whatever the heck that is. Now, you probably are very curious about this Markwayne Mullin figure. Daily Beast reports MAGA former MMA fighter tipped to replace, they say Ice Barbie. I don't need the name calling there, okay? But the embattled DHS secretary is on her way out, and Markwayne Mullin is who Trump wants to replace her. That is, of course, this Markwayne Mullin, who just recently said this is war about Iran. Then they said, oh, so you're admitting it's war, so should Congress get involved? And he went, it's not war.
Are there measures being taken not to eliminate other possible alternatives to leadership?
This is war, and we're taking out the threat. And if you're part of the threat, then you're a target. You know what we'd call not all the arrows, but going after the archers.
You'll concede this is war. You'll concede this is war.
We haven't declared war. They declared war on us, but we haven't.
War. Secretary Hicks said
we haven't declared.
Just now, you said this is war.
They've called it war.
They've called it war. What I was saying. Okay, well that was a misspoke. What I was saying that they've declared war.
That was a misspoke, right? That was a misspoke, and it happens. And actually, it happens a lot with Markwayne Mullin. You remember this doozy when he was trying to criticize Gavin Newsom?
And to fight me on X and you on X, I think you're kind of missing the point. Or if you put handcuffs on police.
He absolutely is, Sean, but this is part of the best thing that could happen to him. He's having audio difficulties, but it shows how bad the state's being ran, too, right?
The way the state's being ran. All right, so already a little bit of a whoopsie, but that's not the big part.
The guy absolutely should be thanking President Trump right now for trying to restore an order, because the only thing Governor Newsom is good at right now is sucking at being number one, at being terrible governor. I mean, that is it. The guy has literally has ran California into the ground. I mean, here California is a beautiful.
So sucking at being number one at being terrible governor, is that the quote? Sucking at being number one. The guy absolutely, we gotta just dissect this, because again, he's gonna be leading one of the most consequential agencies in our government that right now is already responsible for numerous people being unjustly killed, and now he's taking over. And imagine a joint press conference between the border czar and Markwayne Mullin. So you have Markwayne Mullin being like, the only thing you say, you suck at being number three at under then spoking, and then Tom Homan's like, excellent, back to you, Mark. This guy absolutely should be you're gonna have the two top people leading the immigration enforcement will literally be unable to coherently explain themselves. That'll be interesting. The guy absolutely should be thanking President Trump right now for trying to restore order, because the only thing that Gavin Newsom is good at right now is sucking at being number one, at being a terrible governor, which of course would mean he's a good governor. Because if he's bad at being bad, that means he's good. Because he led in with he sucks at being number one terrible governor, meaning he's not number one terrible governor. Okay, so that's a doozy and a half. But then we go back to Kristi Noem. If we had the full operation and we weren't in the travel setup, we would have made one of those in memoriam videos for her and played sad. Maybe we'll create this in a little bit. Sad music with her and all the different cosplay outfits that she's worn, cowboy hats and bulletproof vests, and pretending like she's going out on immigration raids for some reason, and standing in an El Salvadoran prison camp with prisoners behind her for a photo op, etc. But because we don't have the full operation, we weren't able to make that. But here I can show you one of her last moments as DHS secretary will be her refusing to answer the question, did you have inappropriate relations with one of your staff members, special government employee, so special, Corey Lewandowski. Now, he has a horrible track record already. Just the fact that he's a special government employee is a scandal, given his history. But then you add on top of it that there's this like affair going on, allegedly, and her refusing to answer questions about it. And then on top of that, you'll see in a little bit, Jared Moskowitz made a really funny point that we went over on the bonus show. Click the join button below, or click the join button on YouTube to become a member to get the bonus show. Where he said, I know what government means and I know what employee means. What makes Corey so special? Because his full title is special government employee. Oh, something's making him special.
Trump knows that this guy is shady. Corey has a decades-long record of physical battery, sexual harassment.
Oh, sorry, let me go back, because she cites important characteristics of this guy, but they've been palling around, staying at like government housing, not like Coast Guard house or something like that, using the planes, crazy bougie plane going all over the place, losing it at pilots, firing and then rehiring while they're still in the air because she left her blankie somewhere. So you have all that, but think about how weird it has to be for Trump, who's like the king of affairs, to be reportedly weirded out by the dynamic between Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem. That takes a lot.
Corey has a decades-long record of physical battery, sexual harassment, illegal lobbying for a Venezuelan oil company, and bringing a loaded gun into a federal building. Despite being fired or removed from virtually every position he has ever held due to misconduct, he now wields unchecked, unconfirmed, undisclosed power over your department. This person has no experience running anything close to Department of Homeland Security or even advising someone in your position. He is unqualified, which again has left my constituents and I wondering why he is your top official. So Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming
and
my
ma'am,
time.
one thing that I would tell you is that he is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal government.
So reclaiming
and
my
is an
time,
advisor,
Secretary, it is
and has
okay for
no,
you to be
no
offended
authority
by the
to be
question.
making any
it
decisions.
It is okay for you to
has
be
no
offended
authority
by the
to
question.
Be, making
but it is
decisions
also
and
a
putting
real
in
question.
position. So what I would say
and
to
you should be able to
is
answer
that
the
what we do at the Department of Homeland Security every single
and without
day.
Isn't this nice? How substantive this is. She's just trying to talk as long as possible until the time runs out. But you might notice I didn't hear a no. I heard, why are we talking about this tabloid nonsense? I did not hear a no. So Jared Moskowitz goes, okay, let me take another stab at it. You didn't say no. Would you like to say no on the record now under oath?
You've called Corey Lewandowski a special government employee. I understand what government means. I understand what employee means. Okay, but I don't know what makes him special.
Oh, you know what makes him special, Jared. You know what makes him special. Why do you think that blankie was so important?
Now, I want to give you an opportunity to answer on the record to Ms. Camlogger-Dove's question. I know you said it's garbage, and it may be, but I really think you need to say the word no into the record so that you can clear that up.
I think the ridiculousness of this and the tabloids that you are quoting and referencing are insane. And this has been
So that's a no?
something that I've refuted for years, and I continue to do that.
So it's a no.
What I would tell you is
we can move on. Hold on.
what you're
Madam Senator, we can move on. I'm not going to belabor it. If it's
this is what you do.
Hold on. I'm not doing anything.
Liberal left is you go off and you attack conservative women.
By the way, you demonstrate yourself to be absolutely uninformed or dishonest or just plain ridiculous if you call Jared Moskowitz a socialist. He's like an extremely moderate Democrat. To call him a socialist is just goofy.
You go off and you attack conservative women, and you say that we're either stupid
I haven't
or
said
we're
anything.
sluts.
All right, so listen.
And that's what you do.
Yesterday, Richard, reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, reclaiming my time. You were asked by Richard Blumenthal.
That's an interesting way to grandstand, to call yourself something that they didn't call you and then triumphantly declare that you're not that thing. So she goes, I know what you're saying. I'm either stupid or I'm a slut. And Mr. Moskowitz, I am neither of those things. Rah! It's like, well, he didn't say you were. What? I mean, I'd say you're stupid. I wouldn't say the other word. But you're the one who introduced that term. Oh, Jared, so you're calling me a whore. Is that what so I'm a whore is what you're saying. Well, Mr. Moskowitz, I think you're the whore. It's like, what? What are you doing? What are you talking about? No, this is obviously a violation of something for you to have this guy who is unchecked, wielding tons of power, is like your top guy, but working in the shadows, but then you're using all this taxpayer-funded stuff to have a schwanky life, and then maybe you're also having sexual relations? That's not good. Aren't there like HR rules that prevent that? I thought that where's the government's HR? Oh, it's Jared Moskowitz, so he's allowed to ask about it.
You were asked by Richard Blumenthal yesterday if Corey was involved in approving contracts. You said no. Do you want to correct that?
What I would say is that he has an advisor to the Department of Homeland Security, has no decision-making authority.
Do you want to correct it, yes or no? You don't want to correct it?
So she also didn't say no there. Rough ending to her tenure, for sure. Moskowitz was just spitting fire.
Your desk. It's Corey who's sitting there. ISIS said the Republicans should be happy at the job that you're doing. Really?
He's wearing a pin that says "Justice for Cricket," which he's so good. Which is of course the dog that Kristi Noem shot, and then bragged about it in a book. And then Trump supposedly saw that story and thought, okay, that's not good for the vice presidency, but I think that makes her really good for DHS. And you might be thinking that I'm making a joke. No, like literally, reportedly, that made him believe she was better for the job when he heard that story. Okay, so justice for cricket. Just remember that. In the arms of an angel, fly away. We won't ever forget cricket.
Who's sitting there? ISIS said the Republicans should be happy at the job that you're doing. Really? You're looking at the person who single-handedly took the president's signature core issue, immigration, the issue that got him elected from 59% to 39%. 200 miles of border walls being held up by you. They had to bring in Tom Homan, pull out of Minnesota. I think the country needs a national divorce from you on biblical grounds. I mean, if Donald Trump was still Apprentice Trump, he would look at you and he would realize you're the weakest cabinet member and he would fire you.
And he did. And he ended up dead, as Markwayne Mullin would say. And then he done fire you, Kristi. And, you know, the only thing you're good at is sucking at being number one at being terrible DHS secretary. I forgot that you still have the photo of Cole. So we don't have Cole here in Nashville with us, so we're paying tribute to his adorable childhood photo. So then you have one other little sort of funny moment from Moskowitz.
200 miles of border walls being held up by you. They had to bring in Tom Homan, pull out of Minnesota. I think the country needs a national divorce from you on biblical grounds. I mean, if Donald Trump was still apprentice Trump, he would look at you and he would realize you're the weakest cabinet member and he would fire you. And if the president said to you that only way DHS could reopen is if you resigned, I hope you would take him up on it. Now, I want to end on a happy note, Mr. Chairman, real quickly. The president gave all sorts of stuff out during the State of the Union. I don't want you to leave. I got you a new Coast Guard blankie, the one you lost. Okay, so this is for you. You don't leave empty-handed when you come.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. He brought a blankie. He brought a freaking blankie. That is hilarious. So that, if you forgot, the story goes back to they were flying somewhere. They realized in the last plane they were on, they left some of her stuff, including her blanket, and she really wanted it. So they went to the pilot, said, turn around, bring me back to the other plane. He was like, no, sorry, I have orders to take you to whatever city we're going to. I can't turn around. And so they're like, fine, you're fired. And he was like, I'm currently flying the plane. And she's like, oh, so you're calling me a stupid slut? The pilot's like, what? No. And so then they said, you're fired. And he was like, okay, what do I do now? Jump out of the plane, parachute out of the plane. Then who's going to fly the plane? And they're like, okay, you know what? After consultation with my special government employee, I have deemed you worthy of staying pilot. So then they had to rehire that pilot immediately. All over a blankie. Pretty darn interesting story. So Kristi Noem, she's out. What a moment, huh? Pretty crazy. Thank you all so much for joining live. We have a lot more to talk about. Just checking in quickly with the audience. Quan Thrux said, I saw a 4-star general giving West Point grads a speech in which he said, our God is much more stronger than their God. Now I hear Hegseth just said Trump is a living God. Now I have to puke. Trump, what? I didn't say, you're saying Hegseth said Trump is a living God? I'm going to have to find that. If that's true, I'm also going to puke. And yeah, I've seen some of those religious, like we are attacking Iran to bring the type of chaos necessary for Jesus to come back. And it's like, I really hope that's not true, because I bet on Polymarket that Jesus wasn't coming back by 2028. So, Kristi Morin sent a super chat. I appreciate that. Now let's talk about this. I don't have anything prepared to like concisely break down exactly what happened. We're just kind of impromptu layout for the live audience, and maybe we'll clip this later. What happened last night, and then we'll get back to news. So I did a debate. Michael Knowles, the Daily Wire right-wing commentator, has a show called Bar Fight, and I've done it before, and it's a really interesting idea where you can see on screen here, there's like a stage and a desk up in a bar, and then a bar full of audience members who are Michael Knowles fans are all there. And so last time I had a debate partner and we did a normal debate. This one was going to be all about Iran. And they ended up booking Dan Crenshaw, who just the night before we did the debate lost his primary election. So he's coming in a very interesting context. And then Michael Knowles. So then it turned out to be, and this is, I love this more than anything, I was the only liberal, probably other than my producer Jaden, who was there, in the entire establishment. So you have like 50 audience members maybe. They're all Michael Knowles fans or right wing for the most part. And then you have a Republican congressman who I'm debating, and the audience members can go up to the mic and debate, and then Michael Knowles who I'm debating. So it was like me v 50, and that sounds like, oh gosh, why would you agree to that? I love it, because then I'm only responsible for what I'm doing in my debate. And as opposed to sometimes when they try to balance it, they go, oh, there's going to be two right-wingers, so we'll give you debate. But then you kind of have to balance like them talking and what points are they going to make, and do you agree with the argumentation path they're taking down? And it ended up being quite the wild ride. Once the episode gets released, I'll obviously cover the different moments. We debated Iran. Crenshaw and Knowles were taking the pro-war. I was taking the anti-war stance that you've heard me outlining on the show. And this, unless I'm forgetting something in a wild fashion, is the first time I've had a debate with an elected Republican. Now, I went to the spin room and like confronted, I do apologize for, maybe don't send any comment screenshots until I take down these photos. Spin room came up to a few elected officials, Lindsey Graham, Vivek Ramaswamy, or he wasn't elected by that point, or some others. But that was like quick 1 minute conversations. This was a over an hour discussion, And so honestly, I was a little nervous going in because that's a very different setting. Not only the crowd being against me, but the host being against me, and then having a Republican congressman who has an axe to grind because he just lost his election. And I thought it went pretty darn well. But then, now you can take that down, Jaden. One cool aspect, I'll just show this now, was that after, we'll skip to the end and I'll tell you all these things that happened in between, including a guy who was supposed to get booked showing up belligerent, angry that he had been cut from the show, and like now he's been posting screenshots with the Daily Wire booking staff and being vicious apparently behind the scenes to them. And he was standing outside and like security was trying to get him away as Dan Crenshaw was leaving. And I was like, hey, where's my security? And Jaden was my security. But one positive aspect is sort of after the debate, Dan and Michael got ushered off by the staff and security. I was like, oh no, that's fine. I'm going to go talk to the crowd members. And so you have all these people who the whole night have been screaming at me and weren't supportive of me because they're obviously pro-Trump. But then I got to go up to so many of them, probably like a dozen, and talk to them and show them, hey, it's okay. I understand we come from different views, but we can respectfully articulate that. And then you even had a guy like posting this on social media saying, can't believe I sided with Luke Beasley tonight, but when you're right, you're right. And he was agreeing, sympathizing with my we shouldn't be doing a regime change war in Iran argument. So that was positive. Okay, so now you can take that down. And let me kind of walk you through the night a little bit more chronologically. The background for this was pretty notable. So originally they said, hey, you might be doing this bar fight with yourself and Adam Mockler versus Michael Knowles. And I was like, heck yeah, that'd be fun. And then scheduling didn't work. So then they're like, okay, Adam's not, but we might pull in a different right winger, this guy named Alex Stein, who since last night has been going berserk over the fact that he wasn't allowed to come to the event. He gets booked because Dan Crenshaw, who had been booked originally, the Republican congressman, was like, I have an election and I have to go actually to a vote. But then he lost his election. So then the morning of the event, he reaches out and is like, actually, F it, I'll come. But Alex Stein, this right-wing influencer, and Dan Crenshaw are mortal enemies. So the Daily Wire staff knew it wasn't going to be fair to Dan Crenshaw, who they would prefer because he's much more high profile, to have to be on the same stage with Alex Stein. Plus, then you would have just all right-wingers. Even though Alex Stein was going to take the anti-war side of the argument, still it would end up just being a very strange dynamic. So they cut Alex Stein. He's really upset. I'm going, and I learned the morning of. I'm already here, and I learned it's going to be me versus Dan Crenshaw versus Michael Knowles versus the crowd. And I was like, oh, this just got so much better. And so then show up. Dan arrives like right as the event's about to start. We do the debate. I'll show those clips later. Afterwards, go out in the crowd. As I showed you, talk to people. A lot of them ended up saying, I had one guy say that he really hates my views, but he just can't stop watching the show. And I was like, that's an interesting compliment. He said he just really likes the way that I talk, even though he doesn't like what I'm saying when I'm talking. That's very fascinating. All right. So I appreciated that. And then I go to the kind of exit where Dan Crenshaw and Michael Knowles are. And I'm like, hey, are we going out? Because that's like the exit. And they're like, well, outside you have this guy, Alex Stein, who's filming and screaming and like, Dan, come out here. Because even though they're both right wing, Alex Stein and Dan Crenshaw have some huge beef. So then I'm thinking, hey, I'm being silly here, but don't worry about the security. I'll go talk to him. So I'm like, Jaden, let's go. And they're like, no, we don't. You probably shouldn't go out there. He's being really belligerent. So then I do, thinking, okay, he's not going to get Dan. They're just not going to let that happen. They're going to bring him out of a different exit or something, or they're going to have security all around him. You're not going to get talked in. But, like, you could talk to me. You were booked before to debate with me, so you could. His phone was out. I was like, debate with me. It'd be fun. He was not interested at all. And was like, no, I just want to talk to Dan Crenshaw. So then we finally leave. All right, that didn't work. We go walking down Broadway, which is where the event was, in Nashville. And like, picture this. So we just had this crazy big spike of adrenaline because of the event itself, this whole live crowd vibe. It was being streamed live for Daily Wire members. It was a pretty heated debate. I was the only one representing my viewpoint. And so then I'm already kind of like, whoa. And then Alex Stein's out there. It's chaotic. And then we're walking and literally just look across the street and there's a woman being like yanked by her arm by this guy and screaming. So then Jade and I are like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And we hear people running up shouting at them like, stop, take your hands off her. So then we run over, separate them. This guy who's, I guess that woman was his girlfriend, but was like assaulting her, was like yanking her arm, trying to drag her as she was resisting. So then physically, Jade and I have to push him away from this woman. And then like kind of a crowd's developing. Stop, get away. And the police get called. The guy then directs all of his anger at us because I was like, anytime he would try to step to get closer to her, I would step in front of him. And so then he's like, shoves me. And I'm like, oh, here we go. And Jade and I have been reflecting on this. Like, is that the moment we should have just taken a swing? I just felt like that until he took a swing, I didn't want us to, but I also know me and Jaden versus him, like, we're good. But he did shove. I was like, so he did shove. But then I was like, hey, just trying to keep him away because I knew the police were coming long enough for the police to deal with it. And he's like, I'll take you both on, like threatening. Keeps lunging, trying to like grab his girlfriend. Ultimately, the police get there. We have to walk him near forcibly to the police. Then they take over and then we leave. And it was, what? I mean, what a crazy night. And then I wake up to Alex Stein posting. So he posted this 3 hours ago. This is who was supposed to be me versus Alex versus Michael. But they replaced Alex with Dan Crenshaw. And Alex was going to do something else with the Daily Wire crew tomorrow. So it wasn't like he came here for nothing. It just, Dan wasn't okay with going to the event if Alex Stein was going to be there. You'll see why. I mean, with all my disagreement, I literally debated for an hour plus with Dan Crenshaw last night. Don't agree with him and have a bunch of problems with his stances. But Alex Stein is heinous in the stuff that he'll say about Dan Crenshaw, and Alex is extremely radical. So he posted this at the airport. Like, this is all just I'm just like little old me and Jade, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll go do a debate. And all of a sudden it becomes a Republican congressman who's huge in the news right now because he had this upset election where he lost. And then this guy shows up, security's getting involved. They're having to do special ways to remove Dan. And then an assault's happening. We have to get involved there. Like, what a crazy series of events. And so this is Alex Stein posting that he's mad at the Daily Wire crew.
I just had the absolute worst trip in Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, I guess I've had worse trips than this one, but it was bad. I'll get into it later. I don't know if I got to post all the receipts and I got to call out the Daily Wire, but I think I have to. I don't want to because I love Ben Shapiro and I love Israel so much, so I don't really want to have to flame the Daily Wire, but it's just a horrible experience working with these people. Just horrible. Just wait till you hear the story. I don't even know if I should tell the story. These people are just, white trash. You know, you would think that they'd have some class. Low class. Daily Wire is not a good organization.
So Alex has, obviously, I don't agree at all with the Daily Wire's like politics, but I've now dealt with the staff for Noel's show a couple times for this bar fight, and they're nothing but great in how they coordinate and what they set up for you and booking your travel and just kind of the food before and how comfortable they make everything. Like, the actual dealings are totally professional, unlike some shows, by the way. Piers Morgan. Okay, not all staff and booking people are fun to work with. The Noel's crew actually is. So all he's talking about, I won't show it because it's just like low character. He's posting screenshots of emails with the booker and with one of Michael Knowles' producers, text messages, which is sending a bunch of hate their way. All they were saying was, hey, we booked you. We're going to give you per diem. We're going to give you money. Go out tonight. Have a good time. We'll still do the other show we're going to do tomorrow with you, which is good exposure for Alex because he's not really that relevant. And we just can't have you at the bar fight. Sorry, it happens. Like, that just happens in showbiz. Sometimes you get bumped because a bigger name filled your place, Luke Beasley. No, Dan Crenshaw. And so, of course, they're going to take a Republican congressman who's nationally in the news for losing a major election. And someone asked in the comments, did Dan seem sad? Yeah, he definitely seemed sad. I mean, he just lost his election. It was very devastating. I was shocked that he went to do an event the day after. But of course they're going to pick him over you, but they're still being perfectly kind to you. And then Alex was like, well, just let me come to the event and confront him on one of the mics. Like, he doesn't have to be he doesn't have to be one of the contestants, if you want to call it that, but he can come up to the mic and do an audience question, which is a part of the show. And they're like, no, sorry, like Dan's crew just doesn't want you because you've been an enemy of Dan's for a long time. And so then this is where it's been posted publicly. So it's sort of private information, but I guess I'm not the one publishing it. This has already been published. Alex Stein posted this video. I confronted Dan Crenshaw about his election loss and he ran away like a baby. Okay. And so then you have, this is what Alex was doing whenever we walked out the door to see if we could help the team, the crew, get him far enough away so that Dan could leave.
Dan, I bet you didn't see that loss coming, Dan, did you see that loss coming? Crenshaw, you took the L. Hey, Crenshaw, you took the L. Did you see that coming? I know you only got one eye, Cyclops. You lost. Did you do a good job?
So then you put text on the screen that says gay eye patch. So once again, I was debating Crenshaw all night. And you can stand for the principle of respect as well. And to make fun of his injury and losing vision in one of his eyes while he was serving as a Navy SEAL is just disgusting. That's just disgusting. I don't care that Alex Stein was also going to take the anti-war view. That's disgusting. And this is the type of maniac that was out there as we were trying to leave.
Hey, Dan, great job on your election, brother. You're a loser. We got your ass, Dan. You're a loser. Great job, dude. Are you scared? Is that why you're walking away?
He has kind of that sociopath face, you know, where he's, even when he's mad, Alex Stein, even when he's mad, he's smiling. Weird. I'm so angry at the Daily Wire crew. Hey, Dan, you're a loser. It's like, oh, dude, you're kind of a weirdo. So my situation was I walked down, well, let me see if I could talk to him. Maybe that would, I kind of just wanted to debate him. I thought maybe he was just wanting to confront anyone. But it could also help to distract him, and then y'all can get Dan out. Because it's just causing a whole debacle. And we wanted to go drink. So I was trying to get this thing moving. And so I walk out there. He has no interest. But then his vibe was like, rah, rah. He wasn't even, his eyes were like not looking at either of us. It was weird. So then I just turned around and walked back in where the crew was and was like, okay, nope, you're right. That guy's crazy. I don't know what you're going to do. But to their credit, the way they're not like shoving him, I think is really smart, because he got up really close and this is private property and you could justifiably like physically remove him, but they didn't. Very smart, because that's exactly what Alex wanted. He wanted a security guard to manhandle him so that that's his viral video. And instead, all he got was him screaming about the eye patch of a veteran. Now, you want to criticize Dan? Great. I did. And I actually was the one debating with him, confronting him. But you make it about his injury? Oh, so you're a moron then. Because especially if you want to levy substantive criticisms of his time in office or of his stances or him advocating for war, you lose any credibility you have on that among rational people. I saw people were hyping up Alex, but those are like lunatics who just get off on any controversy. Among rational people, you lose all credibility when you make it about that. And even like as an example, during our debate, I was like, I respect the heck out of your service, appreciate it so much, and can still say, I still don't believe that you're correct about this. You're citing your service as a way that you have extra experience to inform your stance on this topic. And I'm saying I respect your experience and your service and still think you're wrong. Like that's how you can do it, obviously. But instead, you have freaks who turn our political discourse into just kind of like bully behavior and low IQ, low intelligence, low character name calling. And that just ruins it for everyone. And it works. And those clips go viral. This video already has 13,000 likes on Twitter. But it's nothing. There was no substance. And then now, Alex, I guess, is going to war with the Daily Wire. So I share all that with you. I'm excited to show you the clips of me taking on Dan Crenshaw and Michael Knowles and then people of the crowd. One guy went up to the mic and was like, "Why don't you shut the F up?" And I was like, "Oh, so we're playing this game, sir." And then by the end of, then we have a back and forth. That was funny. And then I walk out in the crowd and we have a great conversation. And so there's so many fun things I can't wait to show you once the episode comes out. But today I wanted to talk about it before then because of how many non-debate relevant things happened that were notable. Unlike the last one that was a typical, you show up, you do a debate, you leave, it was cool, you and then later I'll play the clips. In this case, it was like I was placed in the midst of a much broader story and controversy. Crenshaw showing up right after an election loss. This now rivalry or clash between Daily Wire and Alex Stein, and then all these security elements. Oh, whoops. Kind of a crazy thing to be plopped in the middle of. But I can't wait to show you all the clips later. Let's move on to more news. Before that, Bilbo Jenkins says, "Thanks for being the third cutest boy on YouTube." Third? Excuse me? Pippi Bubba said, "Bonus show. Yes, I'm wearing shorts. Get over it. You know, you pictured me wearing pants. I'm not. I'm wearing shorts." Thank you for lols on the daily. So this is someone who's a member. You should become one by clicking the join button on YouTube. And on yesterday's bonus show, I was trying to show them the context of the room that we're in. You don't have to do it this time, Jade. And so Jade just pulled out his phone and like recorded, and then you could see what he was filming, the setting, because we always make it look good when we're traveling, but it's a funny setting to be like in a hotel room and a bed's right there and you're jammed in a corner. And so as he was filming it, it caught the fact that I was in shorts. I am in pants today, but that's what's being referenced. Thank you, Pippi Bubba. Quanthrux said, Hesieth said, "President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to Earth." Demented stuff. Demented stuff. Divide 8608 has been a member for a month that said they call her Kristi Noem with a G, the way she's guarding the pedophiles. Thanks for making current events less rage-inducing. I appreciate that. That's a good garden the pedophiles, right? Kristi Noem G. Okay. Emulus Rex, member for 10 months, said you're at least the second cutest. Who's the cutest? Tell me who's the cutest. I'm going to go mess them up. All right, moving forward to this. Fox News had to do a segment where they broke some scary news to Trump about the state of things in Texas. And I'll just play this segment for you because they break down a lot of the context I would have otherwise explained to you about Trump coming out after Tallarico got the nomination for Senate in Texas. And just understand, it would be one of the biggest moments in opposition to the Republican Party in a very long time. And to Trump, it would be the epitome of backlash to Trump's Republican Party if a Democrat, Tallarico, won senator in Texas. So they're terrified. And they want to believe, there's no way a Democrat's going to win in Texas. But they had to bring on someone to go, it could happen. But because of that and the panic related to it, Trump is going, all right, the two Republicans who are supposed to go to a runoff, I want to endorse one of them and the other needs to drop out, because if y'all keep fighting each other while Tallarico's uniting his base, then we're going to get thumped.
Well, heat is on in Texas as the fiercely contested Republican Senate primary heads into a runoff. Senator John Cornyn fighting off a challenge from AG Ken Paxton. The winner will face off against Democrat candidate James Tallarico. President Trump teasing this on Truth Social: "I will be making my endorsement soon and will be asking the candidate that I don't endorse to immediately drop out of this race. Is that fair? We must win in November. Karl Rove, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff, also a Fox News contributor, is here this morning. Karl, good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning.
First up, so President Trump says he will endorse a candidate soon. Senator John Cornyn making it clear just how much is at stake with that decision. Listen.
There's only one person on the planet who knows what President Trump's going to do, and that's him. Certainly, I talk to the president on a regular basis. He understands what's at stake. But I understand also why in a contested primary with three of us, he didn't want to have to choose between us and disappoint some of his own base of support. But when or if he makes a decision and to get involved in the race is entirely up to him.
Boy, oh boy, Karl, the drama is building there in Texas.
Yeah, first of all, full disclosure, I'm a longtime personal friend of John Cornyn, stretching back decades, and a strong supporter of his. But yes, this is...
Okay, I just realized that we are long past when we're supposed to be out of this hotel room. And at some point, someone's going to come in and tell us that. So let me skip forward to the... He was going to talk for a long time about all the different aspects to the background of this race and why a perfect storm could be building for Tallarico to win, which would be devastating for Trump and the Republican Party. Let me just skip to the end where he makes that point.
This is one of the arguments that even the White House political staff has been making. Paxton, on the other hand, has so much baggage that the Democrats would pour $100 or $200 million into the state with the hope that they could pull off something like they did in Alabama when they beat a very troubled Republican candidate and had briefly a Democrat senator from the state of Alabama. They haven't won a Senate race here since 1988. They haven't won a statewide race since 1994. But everybody believes that this year is the year that if we had a damaged candidate on our ticket, that they might be able to pull it off.
Well, when it comes...
They might be able to pull it off. And the question was, from the Fox News, there's no way, right, in Texas? She was saying she believes it to be fool's gold for Democrats. There's no way they could actually pull it off. And Karl Rove is saying, if the perfect storm is the perfect storm, it could happen. Karl Rove declared Democrat James Tallarico could pull off wild upset in Texas, and that would be backlash to Trump. That would be a recognition, even in Texas, that people are fed up with the state of his Republican Party. Here's James Tallarico at his victory speech.
And the ability to see a doctor when we need one. I am tired of being pitted against my neighbor. I'm tired of being told to hate my neighbor. It's been more than 10 years of this kind of politics. Politics as blood sport. Politics as trolling and owning. Politics as total war. It tears families apart. It ends friendships, and it leaves us all feeling terrible all the time. We cannot defeat the politics of division with more division. We can't win their game. We have to change the game. This campaign is rooted in a fierce love for this state, for this country, and most importantly, for all of our neighbors.
It's interesting that he is such a rising star because his message is so unifying. And I think some of us came to believe that wasn't a successful approach to politics anymore. And it represents, if this goes the way I hope that it goes, that there is a population of people, and maybe even the majority, that are getting a little bit sick of divide and conquer. Sick of politicians like Trump, who, if they can splice and dice us enough, can then exploit that for their own power. And that the greatest revelation we could have as Americans is that we actually have a lot that could unite us, and that the most powerful and wealthy see us being divided over all of these different issues, sometimes very random culture war issues, as a way to keep our eye off the ball and to not realize how collectively as Americans and how the working class has been screwed over by a broken system. But Republicans are already rushing to dig up clips of James Tallarico to describe a candidate who's obviously not radical as a radical leftist. And this is one of the examples.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
And you notice how the clip gets cut off there? There should be a giant welcome mat on the front, or on the
front,
out front. That's like how you set up, but then the next part. And indeed, I went, I wonder what the next 2 seconds of that were. Maybe even one. That was a 6-second clip. This is a 7-second clip.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front and a lock on the door.
Oh, they cut it out. A welcome mat and a lock on the door, meaning a secure border, but a welcoming spirit. And they cut 1 second where he characterizes something very different. That's dishonest. And then they're digging up like 2020 tweets, even though his message is so non-controversial. But then, so they have to go find random tweets from 2020. Like when he said, white skin gives me and every white American immunity from the virus, but we spread it wherever we go through our words, our actions, and our systems. We don't have to be showing symptoms like a white hood or a Confederate flag to be contagious. And he's saying, just 1 second. Someone's knocking on the door. We're about to be out. Did they leave? Did they say good? Okay, yeah. They're knocking, saying we have to go. So that's crazy. But it was during that, right? Like a racial awakening and everyone talking about how you understand how your race gives you certain privileges and all that. But here's what you got to do, right? That does sound a little weird. You never want to say just having white skin spreads a virus. Like, you maybe know what he's alluding to, but that sounds weird. But that was 2020. We were all drunk. Like, literally or figuratively, we were all drunk. You can't be able to tweet 2020. We were all having a goofy time. No, not really. There were serious things we were understanding and coming to terms with, and how people expressed that sometimes wasn't exactly on the nose. But if they have to go back, then you realize how consistently uncontroversial his message has been. Or Ron DeSantis saying a candidate for statewide office in Texas claiming God is non-binary. That dog won't hunt.
Is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
It's always 9 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds. Maybe it's because the broader context of that, I don't even care to look it up, was uncontroversial. Is your argument that, like, God needs to have a penis? Because I don't think he does. Now, we use he in, like, because we need a figure, to anyone who believes in God. Don't we already know that? I'm pretty sure there's scripture that's like God is not gendered. And also, obviously, isn't it we're all created in his image? What about the girls? We're all created in his image. What about me? Says the girlies. Yeah, he's everything. They're everything. It's everything. So try to dig up that. I don't think it's going to be very convincing. Then you have Brylan Hollihan. Hi, I'm Brylan Hollihan.
He's not preaching the gospel like he claims. He's actually preaching progressive politics with some Bible verses sprinkled on top to...
Jesus was pretty darn progressive.
Fool the voters. He's actually a wolf in sheep's clothing, and he is a dangerous person that our party needs to wake up to. We need to actually listen to the words coming out of his mouth. He loves to say that God is non-binary, that Jesus...
I've seen him say it one time.
This is a radical feminist, that our...
Jesus was a feminist for the time.
Southern border should have a welcome mat. I was just reading...
And a locked door.
My Bible before I came on this show, and I couldn't find any scriptures that supported that, but they support his talking points.
No, there are a bunch of scripture about treating foreigners like your own.
This guy is going to be their future. The Democrats have realized that having...
So how are you going to be against James Tallarico when you literally look like him 10 years ago? Look at this. Ready? Boom. Put this up, Jane. Boom. 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 I don't think so, Brylan. Thank you to Ronald Kame, member for 2 months. We did a show. They're waiting outside saying, your late checkout's gone too late. So we're going to wrap up the show. Much love. Talk to you all next time.